All right, we're now joined by Red Voodoo lead singer Dino. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing great. Thanks so much for calling. Get the Cali to Cali connection, north to south. It's good to see you guys rising up, so to speak. We love.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
We love what we're hearing. I understand you're under the tutelage of Frank Halen from Tesla. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you fell in love with music, and how you became, a singer.
Yeah, man. So, I wasn't always a singer. I just started singing about 2 years ago when the band started to form. I was a keyboard player in a prior band and a guitar player. But really, what got me into music and my love for music is my dad. And there's some funny history. I mentioned this in a lot of interviews already, but if you don't know, my dad actually, his band back in the day was produced by Frank Halen.
Oh.
Because my dad was in bands 30 years ago, and Frank produced him, and it was pretty cool. So we have that cool special connection there that we talked about. And my dad always talked about Frank growing up, because that was like his, claim to fame is that he produced them. So I reached out to Frank one night, and I asked him if he could produce my band, and he said yes, which is really cool.
Well, that's awesome. I read that you have some interesting influences, which I always think is important. I always tell artists to go deep, really have some broad influences, really go to the source. If you love Led Zeppelin, find out who they were influenced, or if you love Van Halen, find out who they grew up on. What was it, your dad's record collection that turned you on to people like Sam Cooke and Grand Funk and Otis Redding?
It was part of that, but I had a little record collection of those artists. But it was also you said it exactly right, You look who the artists that you love, who they were influenced by. And my biggest influence is Sammy Hagar, and he was influenced by Sam Cooke and Otis Redding. And also Van Halen was influenced by Grand Funk Railroad, which is why we put Mark Farner on there, who's the lead singer of Grand Funk Railroad.
Yeah, well, those are great roots, and of course Sammy coming up through Montrose and Van Halen, the solo years. What was it about his music that spoke to you?
And this is getting back to me being a singer. This was the first concert I saw was Sammy Hagar in 2017 with him with the Circle. And after I saw Hagar play in Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe at Harvey's, I believe, right then and there I wanted to be a singer. I was listening to 0812 and 5150 every day, singing in the shower, getting my chops ready.
Well, yeah, what's amazing about Sam is he's still doing it. 50, 60 years on, he's still got the spirit of a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now, when Frank said he was going to produce your band, how did the artist development start? Is that naturally part of his, MO to get in and start listening to songs and kind of helping to, arrange or strengthen the balance of the band?
Yeah, first of all, Frank is an amazing teacher. With all of his 30 years of experience with Tesla, he really knows how to arrange songs and knows how to write songs, clearly with all his, Tesla albums. But, usually Red Voodoo, the boys and I will go to our studio and we'll get, the meat and potatoes of the song together. And then we sit down with Frank and kind of arrange it and take it apart and analyze the parts so we can make the best song possible.
We'll talk a little bit about the song Rise Up. I know it's about these times we're going through.
Yeah, so I wrote this song in February when, things were much more darker then than it is now. It was a really sad time, and you probably remember. It's probably was worse in L.A. a few months ago than it is here in Sacramento. But yeah, I wrote the song about the COVID-19 pandemic, and I kind of just from a teenager's perspective, just to let you know, I'm 17 years old, and my graduation was canceled. a lot of my friends, their high school was cut short just like mine, and a lot of people. And, and there was just an overall kind of vibe of just sadness around, So I wrote the song about hope, and that's what Rise Up, really, when you get down to it, it's about hope. And even when this pandemic is over and things start getting back to normal, Rise Up could be about really anything they're going through.
Well, that's it. No matter how dark the days are or how daunting a challenge looks, it's all about, getting through it to the other side. And, music traditionally has helped people get through hard times. It's better to have music and no money than have a bunch of money and no music,
Yep. Hey, money ain't everything. I believe happiness is the most important.
Well, that's it, and it's good to see at an early age that you have some roots, that go back, 60s, 70s, all those, great bands and artists. What do you think it was about, music back then, especially during the 70s, that is still so fresh today? I mean, you can put on a Zeppelin or a Queen or that Montrose album, and it sounds like it could have been recorded last week.
Yeah, I think it's just the raw energy and passion that went into, especially in that time. Unlike today, which a lot of the music today is very, at least for my generation, it's very digitalized and all made on the computer. So there's nothing wrong with that. I respect those artists as well. It's art. But I just feel like there's no soul in it.
Well, that's it. You go back to these great soul singers like Sam Cooke and Otis Redding, and they were recording on a little 4-track live. The band had to perform live, and sometimes it was a one-take vocal. They weren't punching words in and, and all that. And then they had to go out and sing it, night after night and really live it, Have you ever seen the documentary on Muscle Shoals, the studio down there in Alabama where the Stones and the Allman Brothers and a lot of Skinner, they recorded? Have you seen that one?
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, you gotta research it. It's free on YouTube. Go search it. Muscle Shoals, just like it sounds. And the studio was just this basic little building, but people like Eric Clapton and the Stones, all the way in England, were hearing, Aretha Franklin and Otis Redding and everybody coming out of there, and had to go record there. And it's kind of like that Sound City studio here in L.A. that Dave Grohl did the documentary on. It's just there's something about the room and the how the board was wired. It was no big technology and no space age this or that. It was just something about the soul of the place. And it's in a little town in the middle of nowhere, between Alabama and Georgia. But I think you get a real kick out of it, loving that kind of soulful music.
Yeah, I'll for sure check it out, yeah.
Well, I know, Frank has been out there touring with Def Leppard and a lot of these big, arena acts, even playing stadiums and stuff. What has he told you as far as, does he see a little bit of you guys in, his past? Does you guys remind him a little bit of him coming up, or what are some of the tips that he's been giving you?
Yeah, man. So a lot of the tips he's been giving us is, it's a lot of hard work. It really is. It's fun, and we love doing it, but it takes hard work. And I don't know if a lot of people really know that, how much it puts in, because at Red Voodoo we have, of course, a publicist, a radio person. We have a whole entire team now that we all work together to make stuff happen. And that's with Tesla. That's how they do it as well. So, just really emphasizing that there's a lot of hard work in what we do. But as long with Frank, what he's been telling us, just a lot of the cool stories back in the day with him touring with Def Leppard, and just all the great wisdom about songwriting and the arrangements of songs.
Well, I know they had a chance to record over there in Abbey Road, in the studio where the Beatles recorded, and there's something to be said again about being inspired, taking the music of your heroes and moving it forward. I know that obviously we're in a different day and time, but as far as songs go, songwriting is a craft that you always have to work at. And I know even people like Smokey Robinson, who's near 80 years old, who wrote some of the biggest hits of all time with Motown, still works on his songwriting. Still is active, and growing. I know Sammy Hagar does the same thing. He's doesn't matter what he's written over the last 50 years. It's the next song that matters the most, and always finding new ways to express yourself and all that. But like you said, it's important that people understand that, yeah, it's fun and it's rocking and you can, be blaring and, rocking out. But behind it, there's more work than there is play. So you really got to love what you're doing. Because if you think it's a get rich quick or, all of a sudden you get one break and then you coast, you're going to be sadly disappointed. I mean, even Tesla, after all these years, they gotta work for it, No,
100%, yeah. And you mentioned this, your last question, about how, Frank's seeing, some kind of past in himself. And I will say, man, when we're over jamming at Frank's place, he's like, man, I feel young, because he's hanging around all of us. And it's probably a cool feeling, us jamming. We played a Tesla song with him, just jamming, and that was a really cool experience.
Well, music keeps you young, and it's important for artists to remain, part of that age that they fell in love with music. Keep that child alive, inside of them. So no matter how many years go by, they can not only relate to a younger audience, but, the music brings them back to when they were a teenager in their bedroom, first discovering a guitar or singing one of their favorite songs. That's an important part. I mean, you look at somebody like Paul McCartney, rocking stadiums, singing songs he wrote almost 60 years ago, and it seems like he's still got that same teenage spirit.
Yeah, and you're right. Music keeps you young, and just like you said about kind of speaking about the guitar, but one thing that Red Voodoo wants to do is bring the art of guitar back into the mainstream. Because kind of like the guitar solo kind of got lost, and then it really never came back. So we were hoping we could bring that element back into the main culture today.
Well, I know that Van Halen, is a big influence on you guys, and
very big.
When I first moved to LA in 1980, I had to go out to Pasadena. I had to go to some of the Pasadena High School and some of the backyards where they did their parties at, and some of the clubs, just to feel that energy, because it was like an American dream that this backyard party band would go from Pasadena, California, to become one of the most influential rock bands in the world, and there was, such a special eruption, so to speak, that happened, on their first album. But what was it about, Van Halen's music and spirit that really spoke to you?
Rise Up, we have that coming, we have that out right now, but also a lot of our stuff that we're writing currently is very Van Halen influenced. And, the one thing that spoke to the band and I about Van Halen would be, their quality backup vocals. That's one thing. And, I believe backup vocals, just the harmonies, are very important.
Yeah, Michael Anthony was always the secret weapon, He was just a bass player, but, it was those vocals that really added the depth to David Lee Roth and, certainly synergized with Eddie's guitar.
And, and also with Van Halen is that, what their whole entire vibe was about just partying and making people feel good and have a good time. And what we're going to do when live shows return is hopefully in 2021, when live shows can resume, is to go on tour and give people that feeling.
Yeah, well, I was right there when Van Halen came out. I was up in the Seattle, Vancouver area and helped, support and promote them up there. And, you probably heard about the legendary tour where they opened for Black Sabbath, where every night in every arena they smoked them off the stage, and nothing against Black Sabbath, but they were at the end of their run. Ozzy was, at his worst and his lowest. They fired him out of the band, at the end of the tour. But Van Halen came on like a, breath of sunshine, high energy. And, besides, it wasn't about how many drugs you could take or how doom and gloom the world was. They were going to celebrate their existence, on the planet, with whatever they were working with, whether they were in a backyard party or opening, for Sabbath in a stadium somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, it's a real pleasure to see you guys come up. I heard you got premiered on KLOS, the big LA rock station, the other day.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah, we did. That was very cool. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but we're coming to your neck of the woods this Friday.
What is the show?
We're going down to LA for the Monsters of Rock Cruise live stream.
Oh wow! I got to find out. Yeah, that's right up the street from me at Third Encore. We'll talk.
Yeah, so we'll be there this Friday. If you don't mind me promoting it real fast.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be on July 31st at 6 p.m. premiering on the Facebook Monsters of Rock Cruise Facebook page live. It's a free show. It's going to be Red Voodoo's live debut. We'll be playing our original tunes, some Hagar covers, and some special guests with JT Lux, one of Red Voodoo's good friends. He's debuting his band as well, opening us with 4 songs, and then also some jams with Britt Lightning from Vixen and Frank Hannon from Tesla.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely plan to be there. Spread the word. You guys definitely have that California spirit, and it's great to see Frank get behind you guys. Can't wait to see bigger and better things from the band. And in closing, Dino, what advice do you give to young creatives? Because I know a lot of people your age or younger think that, there's a shortcut. There's an app or there's a video game, to learn how to, be the next Eddie Van Halen. And what do you tell them as far as the kind of dedication and perseverance, it takes?
What I would say and what I would leave you guys with is, if you have a passion for it, just like you said, don't go for the shortcuts, If you want to earn it and you want it, you go out and you try your best and you do it. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that.
And give us your website. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so we got our socials. We got our website, redvoodooband.com, our Instagram at redvoodooband, and Facebook at redvoodoo.
Dino, thanks so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you, Jay. Always a